Chapter 8, Entered Chapter 9 Elephant Armor Kung Fu. When Han Li thought back on this, a faint heartfelt smile appeared on his face. He and Zhong Tai in the majority of the year, because of the similar temperament, in addition to a relatively similar origin, naturally formed a close friend without saying anything. Han Li slowly uncrossed his legs, rubbed his calves with his hands, long meditation practice, so that his legs are a little numb, blood vessels are also a little less smooth. After rubbing a few more times, feeling the sensation of the legs completely restored, Han Li then stood up from the mat, habitually patted a few fallen dust on his body, pushed open the door of the stone room and walked out. Looking back at the stone room where he practiced, Han Li laughed slightly at himself. This room is completely made of solid granite mountain walls hollowed out, the door is made of a block of boulders. Ordinary people want to barge in through the door, without a mountain axe chopping a moment, do not want to achieve the purpose. This kind of practice quiet room, except in the 7th Zhuan sect, has a certain status of the sect master, elders, hall master, even the core disciples of the 7 Extremes Hall, cannot just have. This kind of stone room is specially built for people who practice profound internal martial arts to prevent them from being disturbed by external factors during their practice and avoid getting carried away by fire. I don't know what method Dr. Mo used to get the consent of the elders to make such a stone room on the mountain wall in God's Hand Valley that ordinary disciples could not enjoy. Once the stone room was completed, it was designated by Dr. Mo to be used by Han Li alone. This decision made Han Li a bit flattered. Dr. Mo was too good to his disciple. From the day he officially became his disciple, Dr. Mo gave himself several different medicines every day, and also used some unknown herbs to make soup to soak his body. Although he did not recognize the names and functions of these drugs, but seeing that Dr. Mo's usually expressionless face would show a hard to give up whenever he used these drugs, he could understand a thing or two about the preciousness of these drugs. Obviously these external forces are still very effective. Han Li's cultivation speed has increased significantly, in a short time ago, finally succeeded in the first layer of this set of nameless oral techniques. The only thing is that a few of the meridians almost ruptured during the rush, and suffered some minor internal injuries. Thanks to Dr. Mo's excellent medical skills, the damaged meridians were not too serious, and he was willing to use good medicine, so there were no after effects. After Han Li's injury, Dr. Mo's performance was even more nervous than Han Li himself, and he was restless during the entire healing process. And only after seeing his injury finally improve did he breathe a sigh of relief. The performance of Dr. Mo, far beyond the ordinary teacher and disciple, should be affectionate, so Han Li's heart for no reason have a few feelings of apprehension. If it weren't for the fact that no one in the Han family, except for third uncle, has ever walked out of the poor mountain valley of his family, Han Li would have thought that Dr. Mo was a distant relative of his own. After Han Li walked out of the stone room, he stretched his back before slowly walking towards his own residence. After becoming a full disciple, Han Li and Zhong Tai had moved out of their original houses and both had their own private huts. When passing Zhong Tai's house, Han Li casually glanced at it. Sure enough, Zhong Tai was not in the house again, probably went to the waterfall under the Redwater Peak to practice again. After becoming Dr. Mo's official disciple, Dr. Mo still told Han Li to practice only this set of nameless mantra, without the slightest intention to teach other kung fu. Perhaps to comfort him, Dr. Mo had no reservations about teaching him medical skills, and taught him by hand. For his medical questions, Dr. Mo also made sure to answer all of them to his satisfaction, and allowed him to look up all the medical books in his house at will. For Zhong Tai, Dr. Mo taught him another set of practical kung fu in accordance with what he said before. According to Dr. Mo, it was a rare martial art called elephant armor kung fu, which according to him was rarely seen in the Jianghu, and many people had never even heard of it, let alone practiced it. Unlike the ordinary martial arts circulating in the Jianghu now, The general martial arts cultivation process is from easy to difficult. The more you train to the top, the more difficult it is to train. The effort spent is also doubled upward roll. This martial art is divided into 9 layers. The first 3 layers are very good practice, and ordinary martial arts degree of difficulty is not much different. By the 4th layer, it suddenly becomes difficult, and to endure a lot of unimaginable pain and suffering. Many people who practice this technique cannot endure this inhumane pain. This cultivation also stagnated from then on. Not to mention the 5th and 6th layer of cultivation, to bear the pain is several times more than before. But this work as soon as the breakthrough of the 6th layer to reach the 7th layer, the future is smooth, unimpeded, but there are still so many days in the month, to be on time to experience the pain of dying. These are those who want to practice this Gong discouraged, which is also the main reason why this Gong method is now almost lost. This martial art is so peculiar, and the power is really amazing when it reaches the top. It is said that people who practice to the 9th layer as wearing a treasure armor general, cannot endure the sword and spear, water and fire, not to mention the palm power, fist power. Even the sword is difficult to seriously hurt him. More eye-catching is the practice of this Gong. Ordinary people will gradually have the power of a giant elephant, to the upper levels will be infinitely powerful, can capture the wolf alive, tearing tigers and panthers, powerful beyond compare. This Gong let know his people can be said to be afraid and love. In addition to the creation of the Gong of the Master, no one can practice this Gong to the 9th layer. Legend has it that this master was born without pain perception in order to create such a perverted martial art and bring it to the extreme. Although Dr. Mo originally told Zhang Tai the pros and cons of this technique, Zhang Tai had no personal experience of the harmful effects of this technique, and did not take it seriously. He only craved the power of elephant armor kung fu and agreed to practice it without hesitation, and this martial art seemed to suit him very well. Recently, Zhang Tai, in order to break through the first layer of elephant armor kung fu, under the advice of Dr. Mo, practiced every afternoon under the tens of meters waterfall at the Red Water Peak, against the huge impact of the fall from the height. According to Zhang Tai's own words, this method is quite effective. From the second layer is only separated by that thin layer of paper, as long as a little more effort to break through the bottleneck.